Two frightened boys rush through a house, one in a hoodie and the other running as fast as he can. Their trembling voices call this village strange. They also recall how it all began the moment they opened that old storehouse. Searching for safety, their eyes land on a nearby room, but when they enter, horror greets them. Severed human bodies are scattered across the floor, blood stains the walls, and it feels as if someone has pierced them brutally. The story shifts to 3 days earlier. A school bus driving through a heavy storm is on its way to the countryside for a field trip. Aoi Kento from Class 2 complains about no phone signal, but Minami reminds him they're on farmland for studies. Still glued to his phone, he grumbles he wants to go home and dislikes farming. Imarimai encourages Kento to get used to the trip, while Minami brings up Satsuki looking sick, which draws teasing from another student, Iwakami. Their homeroom teacher, Takatori, overhears the noise and asks if the group is getting along. The old bus driver, squinting through the rain, admits his poor vision nearly made him lose the way, but says once they cross Ningyou Pass and the tunnel, the road will be straight. Minami irritably asks if Satsuki and Kento plan to bicker the entire 4-day trip. Kento jokes he is dead without his phone, while Satsuki mutters about their chances of returning alive. The teacher tells them to shut it. Osakabe, the class chairman, laughs and calls the girls rude to lighten the mood. He suggests they should have some fun, though the others tease him for wearing a farmer's jersey. He suggests taking a picture for memory and calls them to come over. As the photo is taken, something strange glares at the bus. Kento and Satsuki notice a doll-like figure outside the window, but both remain silent. The bus speeds through the forest until it finally arrives at Kojin village. The rain has cleared, and Kento is relieved to have reached at last. Minami gathers everyone and explains their assignment. They will be staying in groups to help local farmers. Their group has been placed with the Hasekura family. At the Hasekura house, Kento wonders to see huge rice field and house. Minami announces their presence but they meet with the brief silence. Suddenly a cheerful girl, Hasekura Yoiko, eventually greets them. Her celebratory gesture is interrupted when a prop falls on her. She recovers gracefully, smiles, and explains the effort she put into creating a welcome banner for their visit to Kojin village. The students exchange amused smiles and whispers. Yoiko. Her parents are away, but she happily guides them through the large home. The girls are given her bedroom, while the boys are shown to another room with an altar filled with old dolls. The mysterious dolls unsettles Kento, though he hides it. Then a sudden bug on Minami's back startles everyone, but Satsuki casually brushes it off. Minami is amazed by Satsuki, and Kento teases she'll share her feelings on this trip. Kento, seeing others with clear goals, wants to find his own purpose. Later, Kento notices a small storehouse outside and curiously asks about it. He suddenly gets struck when Yoiko's expression briefly changes and she warns him never to go near it. Then, with a quick laugh, she explains it's just a storehouse, probably filled with snakes. Then the door knocks and at noon, Yoiko's parents, Shuzu and Asako, return to greet the students. But still Kento's eyes are locked on the storehouse. At dinner, the group shares conversation while Satsuki quietly lies down, still unwell. Meanwhile, outside the village, teacher Takatori drives toward the tunnel when Osakabe meets him on the way asking about the car. Takatori claims he borrowed it and he wants to confirm the road is safe and also pick up cigarettes. Osakabe questions him but eventually lets him go. Driving through the dark, before entering the tunnel Takatori suddenly sees a strange doll with long hair and a twisted expression in the forest. He dismisses it as a trick of the eyes and continues toward the tunnel. Back at the house, the girls talk with Yoiko about classmates and daily life. Yoiko laughs, admitting she has never had school friends and always longed for such conversations. When asked about exchanging emails, she says she has no phone and no desire to leave the village. In the boys' room, Kento and Satsuki struggle to sleep. Satsuki confesses that he is haunted by a dream from earlier on the bus. Kento sits up, urging Satsuki to share because his dreams often come true, and talking will make him feel better. Satsuki tells, in it, he stood alone in the dark tunnel, hearing a terrible sound. As he stepped back, he realized he was standing on a severed body. Then, in the distance, he saw a woman with a twisted head and bloody hands. Kento tries to laugh it off, saying such things are impossible. Kento also consoles him but Satsuki is still stuck in unease. Before Satsuki can finish, the storehouse begins to shake. The girls consider it an earthquake. The ground rumbles like an earthquake, frightening everyone. Furniture rattles, walls tremble, and the students huddle in fear. Osakabe shouts for them to take cover. Across the village, people panic as the tremors continue. The students hide them quickly. It seems as if this start is just the beginning of the end. At that very moment, Takatori's car enters the tunnel. Rocks crash down from above, crushing his vehicle and blocking both ends of the passage. After the incident, news reports soon reveal that the 33 students of Jonan High School, along with their leaders, are trapped in Kojin village. Aerial rescue teams cannot reach them because of thick fog. That's all the media has reported, the only news from there. Iwakami holds Satsuki with fear. The dolls in their room clatter, even one of them falls and Kento shudders with fear. But suddenly the earthquake stops and he asks others if they are alright. Yoiko also hurries to see the boys. Suddenly Kento notices Shuzu movement towards the storehouse holding a light. Quickly he recalls how Yoiko asked him not to go over there. Shuzu goes there and opens the storehouse door. The next morning, Kento yawns into the kitchen, where Shuzu laughs and asks if he slept well and why he is late. He also says he heard about last night's earthquake but slept through it without caring. Hearing this, Kento becomes surprised because the man he saw going toward the storehouse last night looked exactly like Shuzu. He wonders why they are lying to him, and this thought leaves him deeply puzzled. After breakfast, Kento heads to the storehouse, hears noises inside, and, looking up, realizes this house is actually huge. He pushes open the broken door. Kento begins to feel uneasy as he steps inside. He notices many scattered bottles of alcohol and freezes for a moment when his eyes catch a box. As he opens the cupboard, a girl falls on him, and he steps back in shock. For a moment he thinks she might be a dead body. As he retreats, the girl grabs his shirt with lifeless hands and pulls toward him. To his surprise, she is a small, delicate girl and not a dead body. Kento asks her what she was doing there. Looking closely, he thinks she may not be able to speak, as she does not reply. Seeing blood on her clothes, he wonders who hurt her and thinks they should leave quickly, tell someone, and let her change. Suddenly the girl clings to Kento, trembling, and he thinks she fears those who locked her inside. He asks who imprisoned her there but she remains silent. Kento senses Shuzu approaching them, calling Hina-sama. He quickly decides to hide. Shuzu bursts in angrily, opening the door and stepping inside. In his heart, Kento wishes Shuzu would not come toward him. As Shuzu passes by the cupboard, he glances carefully, sensing that Hina-sama is inside the box. Meanwhile, Kento is hidden beneath the girl's large dress. After breakfast, Minami assigns boys to pick mulberries and girls to plant potatoes, while Kento secretly worries about the imprisoned girl in the storehouse, knowing it is not normal. He also wonders if Yoiko's mother is involved in this matter. Kento wants to go and help the girl, Hina-sama, but he feels that many other things will still be revealed here. Suddenly, Satsuki and Iwakami reach and tease Kento, with Iwakami joking about Yoiko, but Kento brushes it off, saying he only saw something strange that morning. Just then, Yoiko appears and asks what the three boys are talking about. Kento suspects she knows something since she once warned him away from the storehouse, and he feels uneasy about Hina. Kento pretends to go to the bathroom, but when he heads for the storehouse, Yoiko stops him, saying that is not the way. Later, she quietly asks if he went into the storehouse, leaving Kento frozen in shock. Meanwhile, Osakabe tries calling the teacher, unaware his phone lies broken by the roadside. Kento wonders why Yoiko asks about the storehouse, suspecting she may be involved. Kento denies it, claiming after breakfast he was stuck in the washroom with an upset stomach. Yoiko says that now she feels at ease, then she asks if he is fine now. Kento replies yes. At the same time, Yoiko holds his arm and says that the bathroom is this way, asking if he has already forgotten. She pulls him along toward the washroom. On the other hand, Iwakami gives Yoiko some Japanese fruits. Yoiko notes he has picked a lot, and he jokes she can climb on his back for the ripe ones above. Satsuki considers Iwakami to be crazy. Kento then slips away in order to check on Hina. Yoiko offers Kento to pick some fruit together, and Kento, feeling watched, decides not to approach Hina then. Later at lunch, while eating, Kento thinks that he is calmly eating but Hina is terrified and weak, her hands even cold. Yoiko's mom calls her to take some peeled Japanese fruits. As Yoiko goes there, Kento tells his friends that he needs their help. He says he wants to slip away for a while, but they must distract Yoiko's family so they do not notice. He promises to tell them everything when he returns. Satsuki and Iwakami are surprised, but Kento says he is entrusting the matter to them. At that moment, Minami arrives and asks what they are planning. Kento immediately tells her that he needs a favor, asking her to bring some rice balls because he did not eat much at night. Minami goes to get them, and Yoiko appears. Kento leaves and tells the others to handle the situation. Satsuki and Iwakami are surprised because it is the first time Kento has asked for their help, and Satsuki also thinks it is the first time he has seen Kento so restless. After that Iwakami goes and urges Shuzu to drink more, while he says they will drink together when he grows up but still Iwakami refills his glass. Yoiko is surprised, wondering where Kento has gone. Satsuki thinks he should keep Yoiko engaged in conversation. Yoiko says she is looking for Kento, so Satsuki calls her to talk. For the first time, it feels impossible for him to speak so softly with someone. Yoiko stands near him, and Satsuki wonders what he should say. He tells her that her acorns are delicious. Yoiko asks if he has eaten them before. Satsuki replies that a long time ago, when he was very hungry, he tasted them, but that was when he was very young. Yoiko says they will collect more tomorrow and walks away, while Satsuki thinks she is ignoring him and going for Kento. He grabs her arm and, in a harsh tone, says he wants them right now. Yoiko laughs, calls him funny, and agrees to pick some, but goes to get a flashlight first. Meanwhile, Kento returns and sees Minami with rice balls. Kento says he asked her since she makes them well, hoping she'll be a good wife for Satsuki. After that, when Kento enters the storehouse, he sees Hina. She rushes to hug him, and Kento feels overwhelmed, wondering why Hina has been locked up there. Hina looks at him, and Kento promises to get her out by telling his teacher to call the police, adding he wants her to meet his nice friends. Kento tells her he is going back to his room for now and will return at midnight with someone to help. At midnight, Satsuki wakes Minami, and explains that Kento asked for their help. Minami is surprised to see Mai and Iwakami also standing behind him. With a flashlight, they head to the storehouse, puzzled by Kento's call. Iwakami, scared, trails Satsuki. Opening the door, they find Kento and Hina sitting together. Kento speaks in a low voice, thanking them for coming. As the light hits him, he says someone trapped for a long time needs their help. Satsuki replies that he cannot see clearly. Kento says he wants to free the girl and needs their help, promising to introduce her. Satsuki's eyes widen as Kento introduces Hina, who now appears as a disheveled doll with torn eyes, while Kento's eyes also look altered. He requests them to make Hina their friend and tells Hina that they are not bad people. The four stare at Kento in shock and fear, asking if this midnight call is some horrible joke. Kento says their faces are scaring Hina and urges Minami to shake her hand to comfort her. He extends Hina's hand toward Minami, but she pushes Hina back in fear and steps away. Kento asks why she pushed Hina and calls Hina's name again and again, trying to lift her up. Satsuki says that Kento is not making sense, that Hina is only a doll. Kento insists the girl has been imprisoned for centuries and needs help, not understanding why they cannot see it. He says he thought they would help him. Minami tells him to step back, but Kento shouts at her for calling Hina a thing. At that moment, there is a knock at the door. Everyone is startled. Kento grabs Hina tightly and says he will stay with her. Iwakami and Satsuki drag Kento away as he screams and struggles, leaving only the old doll Hina on the storehouse balcony with a twisted neck and hollow eyes. Kento is tied up, his hands and feet bound. Satsuki says they restrained Kento since he would not calm down and asks if they can contact the teacher. Minami tries to call but the connection is lost. At midnight, they cannot reach their teacher Tekatori's place, and unfamiliar roads could get them lost. Even so, Iwakami says they should go and bring the teacher, or maybe inform Shuzu. Satsuki thinks that was why they were warned not to enter the storehouse. He suggests they all stay together until the teacher returns. The next morning, Satsuki wakes up and sees only an empty rope. He realizes Kento has escaped. Satsuki quickly runs toward the storehouse, shouting for Kento, while the others follow behind him. As Satsuki calls out Kento's name, they all freeze in horror. Kento lies lifeless before the doll, which has drained his blood and left the floor soaked in red. They scream in terror at what has happened to Kento. Minami runs toward him while Satsuki, shaken with fear, says that this cannot be possible. Shuzu rushes into the storehouse asking what has happened. He screams Hina-sama in fear, shocking Mai, and Shuzu orders everyone to leave the storehouse quickly. At home, everyone sits in confusion and fear, unable to believe that a doll could destroy Kento in such a way. Satsuki sheds tears in his memory. Iwakami sits silently, head lowered. Everyone is disturbed by the horrible sight they witnessed. After that Satsuki enters and calmly suggests Kento may have been murdered. Everyone strangely looks at him but he remains silent. Satsuki leaves the room and sees Shuzu and his wife trying to contact the police, but the connection is lost due to the earthquake. They speculate that warning Kento about the storehouse might have saved him. Shuzu's wife worries that the kids wouldn't have entered if the chains hadn't broken. Shuzu regrets not being more cautious. He says he stayed silent, fearing that warning them would only pique their curiosity. Yoiko overhears, startled. Shuzu instructs Yoiko to lock the door and warns to stay away from the storehouse, planning to contact the police. When Asuka mentions Hina in the car, Shuzu sternly warns her to be quiet, fearing for their family's safety. Back in the room, Iwakami says Mai-chan is unwell and asleep. Yoiko mentions her parents went to the police and asks what they should do while alone. Minami, fearful, warns the killer may still be nearby, and Iwakami grows uneasy. Satsuki says they must first keep themselves safe until the police arrive. He asks if there are any other weapons. Yoiko says she will search, but the problem is that all the doors are locked. They search the house for weapons, and Yoiko urges anyone who sees a doll to scream immediately. They gather sticks and other items and come back to the room, sitting silently and staring at one another. The night passes slowly. Minami tells Yoiko that her parents are taking too long to return, even though they left by car. Satsuki wonders why they are delayed, considering heavy rain or the killer as possible causes. He recalls the warning that anyone who learns about Hinasama risks their family being killed. Iwakami asks Yoiko what Hinasama really is and wonders if this is the reason they were forbidden to enter the storehouse. Behind her, Satsuki speaks angrily, demanding to know if this is what Kento found and why he acted so strangely. Yoiko explains that Hinasama once served as a protective goddess in Kajin village for a long time. Later, the duty passed down generations to her family. Hinasama grants wishes but requires offerings. Long ago, villagers sacrificed during a disaster, and people don't do that anymore but still pray respectfully. After that, Shuzu tells his daughter Yoiko that the duty now rests with her and she must protect the village forever. Yoiko treated it as a superstition, saying that she does not truly believe in it, but one day, when she opened the door, Hinasama had vanished from the altar room. When she asked about Hinasama, her father said it was too important and possibly stolen, so he hid it elsewhere. She was sure that he placed it safely in the storehouse. Once she tried to go into the storehouse to see it, her father slapped her from behind and scolded her, warning her never to go near the storehouse again. Yoiko says her father was always good, and that day was the first he acted differently. She explains she hid everything from the others, fearing her father's anger. Tears come into her eyes as she admits she never thought something like this would happen. She regrets that they should not have gone near the storehouse, believing this is why the doll consumed Kento, because he broke his promise. Suddenly Mai wakes and Iwakami asks if she is alright. Mai keeps her head lowered, and as she comes closer, she suddenly collapses into Minami's lap. Shocked, Minami asks what to do, and Yoiko offers water, as Mai faintly whispers Hinasama, leaving them stunned. Behind them, Iwakami asks what happened and if everything is fine. He adds that the police will not leave them alone here. As the three turn to look at Mai, even Satsuki is left surprised. Minai shouts at Iwakami to stop, reminding everyone they've been trapped for 9 hours and asking what more could happen. Satsuki listens closely and quietly stands up. Minai asks and he replies he is going to the bathroom. He grabs a stick and leaves, thinking it strange that a doll could cause this, recalling a dream he once had. As he nears the door thinking of the Takatori site, a hand suddenly grabs his hoodie and pulls him back. This is Iwakami. He asks where Satsuki is going. Satsuki turns back and angrily grabs his collar. Iwakami asks why Satsuki left alone, and Satsuki says the leader would have taken it badly, adding that staying won't help. Iwakami warns him that if Satsuki goes out and meets the killer alone, he might put himself in danger. Satsuki replies that it is still less dangerous than staying and possibly dying alone without telling anyone, so he plans to go alone. Iwakami says they joined forces as friends and should go together. He prepares to leave with a stick, telling Satsuki to follow closely and, if trouble comes, to run fast. As Satsuki and Iwakami head out, Yoiko asks if they truly plan to go help, adding she knows the roads better than them. Iwakami urges them to go together as it's safer and Yoiko asks how to bring the Mai, while Satsuki says the girls should stay inside with Yoiko, who can hide them and knows the escape routes if the killer comes to the house. Satsuki says Iwakami should stay, but Iwakami insists Satsuki must not go out alone. Hearing them, Yoiko opens the door sharply and says not to worry, she has something. She takes out a gun and gives it to them. Satsuki is shocked and asks why such a thing is in her house, how she even has it. Yoiko explains that it is her father's rifle. She says there are 2 rifles, one they should take with them, and one she will keep at home. She assures them that she will protect Mai-chan and Minami herself. Satsuki takes the gun and says he trusts Yoiko. Then he adds that they should now go to the place where Takatori usually went. They find Takatori's map in his field notes and decide to head to his house. Meanwhile Osakabe reaches outside a gathering hall. He knocks, asking what Takatori is doing inside and saying this is no time to leave students alone. When the door opens, everything is silent. They find Takatori's belongings and a girl's jacket, and he jokes if Takatori has been enjoying himself there. Finding no one there, he goes outside laughing about Takatori's love story. On the way Iwakami slips and falls. Satsuki warns him to be careful, but Iwakami says it is too dark to see. When Satsuki lifts his arm, he slips and falls on him. Both of them keep walking but still they do not find the gathering hall. Satsuki suggests Kento died from seeing the doll, but Iwakami adds it's unbelievable a killer will do such things. Satsuki says Kento had parents while he has none, and Iwakami angrily asks what he is saying. Suddenly a man sees a fire from afar and considers it a temple. From behind, a heavy-set man with glasses and a torch in his hand appears. He says he was surprised, thinking it was a bonfire, but now he finds students from Jonan High School, stuck here. He is the first villager they meet. Iwakami says strange things are happening and asks the man to call his parents. Satsuki adds they are stranded, and the man, living nearby, tells them to be patient and explain. Iwakami thanks him, while Satsuki thinks this may be their chance to save the others too. Satsuki asks if they can use his phone. The man agrees and tells them to follow him. As they near his house, they notice that it looks just like a storehouse. The old man takes them home, says the police are coming after trouble at Hasekura's house, and the boys thank him. Hungry, Satsuki realizes he has not eaten since morning. The old man tells the supper is ready and asks if they want to eat. Other side, Mayanami asks why the boys have not reached still and if they have found Takatori. Yoiki consoles her and asks if she wants to eat something. Minami says she is not hungry, maybe it's from fear, but Yoiko insists she eats to stay strong and goes to prepare food. Minami stays seated, frightened. When Yoiko comes back with food and calls for Minami and Mai, she finds only Mai in the room. Looking around, she realizes Minami is missing. She glances outside and sees Minami walking toward the storehouse. Yoiko rushes out, grabs Minami, and asks what she is doing. She also asks her if she is alright. Minami, still scared, explains that maybe wild dogs or some wild bear attacked Kento, because his body looked torn as if by an animal, and she wants to drive the animal out of the storehouse. Yoiko reminds her of her father's warning to avoid the storehouse, but Minami insists on going, arguing the door can be shut firmly to keep the animal inside. Yoiko agrees and hurries to close the door with a broom. Yoiko warns her not to look inside while closing it, but as Yoiko shuts the door, she accidentally glances in through the flames, and it seems to her that Hinasama is no longer there. On the other side, Iwakami drifts into his thoughts and looks deeply worried. The old man serves miso soup. Iwakami, disliking cucumbers, refuses, while the hungry Satsuki eats it. Satsuki says he is troubled about leaving the girls alone and worried about Takatori. After drinking the soup, Satsuki coughs. Iwakami tells him to stop if he cannot eat, while the old man assures the police are on their way. Satsuki adds when the police come, they will surely question the girls, so should return quickly. The old man tells them everything is fine here, they can rest, and the young men can eat as much as they want. At that moment, Iwakami, frightened, points with his finger to the other side. When the old man looks, Iwakami drops his bowl of soup, saying it felt as if someone was peeking at him from the other side. He asks if the old man lives alone, and the man says yes, explaining neighbors are far apart in the mountains. Satsuki dozes off on Iwakami's shoulder, surprising him. Iwakami thinks if he had watched Kento that night, things might be different. Iwakami asks Satsuki if he is awake, but Satsuki does not answer. Iwakami is shocked. The old man then says he will quickly bring futons for them. He lays down bedding for both Satsuki and Iwakami, telling them to rest since it is already late. Satsuki lies down, while Iwakami sits beside him, still troubled. He remembers that he forgot to call Takatori. He decides he needs a phone. As he steps out of the room, he is startled by the darkness surrounding him. He picks up the phone and dials a contact number, but there is only silence. Shocked, he realizes the phone is broken, even though it was not like that when he first arrived. He is left wondering what exactly is happening here. Iwakami holds the receiver in his hand and notices a paper nearby with the words Kaintome written on it. He quickly throws the receiver aside and runs to Satsuki's room, trying to wake him, but Satsuki does not respond and remains asleep. Realizing that this is Kaintome's house, Iwakami grows uneasy about the strange silence surrounding the place. Suddenly a voice from behind asks him if he did not eat soup. Iwakami turns back to see the old man carrying spears, axes, and blades in his hands, standing calmly in the doorway. As soon as the old man fixes his intense gaze, Iwakami steps back against the wall in fear. The old man unsettlingly declares he will never hand over Hinasama, and Iwakami realizes he means the doll. The old man continues, accusing the students of being thieves and has come to steal Hinasama. He insists that the younger generation shows kindness only to deceive, and he vows to protect Hinasama above all else. With a sudden movement, he throws a blade toward Iwakami. It misses narrowly and lodges deep into the wooden door beside him. The old man says if he had drunk the soup earlier, they would have been killed in their sleep. Iwakami quickly pulls the half-asleep Satsuki to his feet. Together they rush into the corridor, stumbling into another room. When the door swings open, they are met with a horrific sight, severed bodies lying inside. These are none other than the students from their own school, members of Group 4, who had been staying in Kentome's house. The scene shocks them both awake, leaving Satsuki fully alert at last. Elsewhere, in the hospital, a beep alert staff. A nurse informs the doctor that the patient has regained consciousness. It is Takatori. Against all odds, he opens his eyes, bewildered and weak, and begins to realize where he is. The nurse explains that he is in the hospital, recalling that he had been trapped in the collapse but has now miraculously regained consciousness. Weak in his hospital bed, Takatori's first concern is for his students, not himself. Outside, reporters swarm the hospital, shouting about the lone survivor and Takatori's condition, while staff struggle to quiet them. Amid the crowd, a man pushes through, tells a girl he is visiting a friend, then slips deeper into the hospital. Meanwhile, news reports confirm that 33 high school students are still trapped, their fate uncertain even after 3 days. Hearing this, Takatori grows restless. He attempts to rise from his bed, reaching for a wheelchair. But his body fails him, and he slips, collapsing heavily to the floor. The noise draws a nurse to his side, who rushes to help him back up. She urges him to remain calm and rest, but his frustration only deepens. His thoughts weigh heavily on the fact that he left his students behind in the village. The nurse tries to explain. On the other side of the tunnel, there are no villages anymore. Takatori gets a sudden shock. She adds that most settlements in that region were destroyed by a landslide nearly a decade earlier, leaving only ruins. Investigations and aerial surveys confirm that the once inhabited valley has now become nothing more than an abandoned wasteland. For Takatori, the revelation is shocking. He insists he had met villagers, borrowed a car, and even received an invitation from one of them. The nurse suggests that his memories may have blurred with the trauma of the accident. At that moment, a bald man enters his ward. He addresses Takatori directly, introducing himself with authority. After showing his ID, he says he asks Takatori for cooperation in uncovering the truth. The media presses the principal on how 30 students vanished during a simple rural program. He admits knowing the risks but says the homeroom teacher was in charge. Also, the teacher has now regained consciousness but remains hospitalized, making any official confirmation difficult. From his hospital bed, Takatori anxiously follows the news. The bus driver reports dropping students at the village but seeing no villagers, and records show Sakigami village was abandoned a decade ago after a landslide. Takatori notices a card on the book message from future beings, recalls the bald man's offer, and dials his number. Mai whispers as she wonders whether history itself has shifted. The thought of Kento lingers in her mind, heavy and unshakable. Yoiko notices her unsettled state, recalling fragments of strange words she had heard earlier. She tells Minami about the Mai's quiet confession for Kento. Minami, overhearing, reacts with surprise. The revelation unsettles her, especially because Mai had never shared this truth with her, though they had always been close. The bond feels broken, leaving silence. Minami simmers with quiet frustration, while Yoiko excuses herself to make coffee. Mai whispers about the cold. Minami decides to fetch an extra blanket, thinking she will find one in Yoiko's parents' room. On her way past the wash basin, she glimpses a flicker in the mirror. When she blinks, it is gone, and she convinces herself it was only her imagination. Stepping into the parents' room, Minami is taken aback by the sight of walls covered in posters. The atmosphere feels strange, as though the space hides a meaning she cannot grasp. A faint sense of unease grips, but she reminds herself that her task is simple: find a blanket and leave quickly. As she opens the wardrobe, her breath catches. From beneath the fabric, pale fingers emerge, the shape of a human hand unmistakable. A sharp chill runs through her body, and instinctively she stumbles back, fear tightening her chest. Minami notices several left hands slipping out from under the blanket. Suddenly, a cold hand brushes against her face. She startles, stepping back in panic, and for a moment she convinces herself they might only be the hands of dolls. Yet the sheer number unsettles her, and fear creeps into her chest. Behind her, Yoiko appears. Minami quickly drops the blanket and explains she only came to fetch it. The two of them return to the room. A while later, they sit together with tea. Yoiko watches Minami closely, sensing a change in her behavior. Minami takes a slow breath, trying to show that everything is fine. Yoiko again asks if something happened in her parents' room. Minami seems scared of the house. Then, without warning, a knock sounds at the door. Hope rises in Minami's heart. Perhaps Satsuki and Iwakami have finally returned. She rushes toward the door, desperate to leave this house as soon as possible. The door rattles with violent knocks, and a shadow looms on the other side. She rushes to the lock, wishing for escape, but freezes when her eyes catch a hand pressed against the glass panel. Yoiko comes beside her, and both of them recoil in fear as a bloody handprint stains the glass.